All right. We think it's 7 o'clock. Consensus is
7 o'clock.
that it's 7 o'clock, so let's do this. Good evening, councillors and gentlemen. All right. Before I begin, just so you're aware, I am moving item 9 on your agenda, which is the Morecambe Neighbourhood Plan Steering Wheel item, which you'll find in pages 62 to 76. I'm moving that up to prior to item 5 to enable the chair of that steering group to address us prior to getting back to some LEMSIC, because there's quite a few bugs going around and it doesn't want to spread anymore than is absolutely necessary. I think it is going around a little bit, isn't it? So with a bit of luck, brevity will do the order of the day today. And the clerk's not doing so well, are they? So I think we're going to move this way.
Right, okay. What's closer to me?
I've got it.
Sorry, that's what
So, quick reminder to make sure that your mobile devices are on stand. Yes? You've got an order in with your speaker. Right, so with that, item 1 is the apologies for absence. So I would say.
Thank you, Chairman. I received apologies from Councillor Mrs Dennison, Councillor Burns, Councillor John Hanson and both Councillor Hughes.
I've also added Councillor Davis to the list.
Councillor Alex.
As if she had no problem, she's sprained her ankle this morning.
She's poorly.
Excuse me.
Right, okay. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Then we've got several lists as well. And this is to receive declarations by members of interest in respect of items on the agenda tonight. Members are reminded that in accordance with the Localism Act 2011, they are required to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests which have not already been declared in the Council Register of Interests. It is a criminal offence not to declare a disclosable pecuniary interest either in the register or at the meeting, whilst not a legal requirement in accordance with Council Procedure Rule 10, and in the interest of clarity and transparency, members should declare any disclosable pecuniary interest which they have already declared in the register at this point in the meeting. In accordance with Para B, Section 2 of the Code of Conduct, members are required to declare the existence and nature of any interests as defined in Para 8.1 or 9.2 of the Code of Conduct. Jim.
Yeah. Item 5 on the agenda, the planning applications as member of the Legislative City Planning Committee.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Claire.
Both I and Ian, I think. Same again.
Planning for yourself, Andy and Max.
Number 8, I'm on Lancashire County Council, but I don't know if I have to declare it just because I think it's delegated by the officers at Lancashire County, not the council. Is that right?
It's probably just for the transparency end of things. It's probably worth just declaring it, even if you're able to take part.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you never know whether you have control.
Yeah.
Any more takers? Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I just declare an interest in the antisocial behaviour and Morecambe in Bloom, if you think that's relevant.
Right, thank you very much. Any others now? Marvellous, thank you very much for this. Alright, item 3 is minutes and that's to approve the minutes of the meetings of Council held on January and 7th of February. Prior to approval, are there any amendments that need to be made, any disagreements with the accuracy at all, or can we move to accept them both?
I'll move them.
Moving them and seconded by Councillor Cosler, thank you very much. This is going swiftly. All those in favour of accepting both those 2 sets of minutes? That's clearly carried, thank you very much indeed. Item 4 is public participation. We have one member of the public in the gallery. Good evening, sir. How do you? Right.
Sorry, Chair, you haven't done the minutes for the...
I was doing both together, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise that.
Yeah. Are you keen to do a speech before us on anything tonight, or are you?
No, I'm actually from Rotherham, so
from Rotherham?
I'm a visitor.
Okay, well, you're very welcome from.
Thank you.
From the wrong side of the pennant. That's marvellous.
Oh well,
I hope you got your passport with you. Right,
I have.
Morecambe wouldn't be here without
Chair,
the
we
auction.
must have.
We wouldn't be here without the auction.
Thank
would we?
you.
Our brethren that used to come out.
No, we fall into the sea.
No.
Now,
So-
let's not divide.
Now, let's not. We're all northerners together, aren't we? Let's
We
unite
are.
around the northern bit. I'm a northern. Right, so new item 5. So I'll call it item 9 just to make it easy. Item 9 we're going to move to now, which is the Morecambe Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group, which is on 62 to 76 in the supporting papers. You've got the report of the
We have
plan.
to leave for this as well, then.
If you're members of planning, then you probably should at this stage, as there are
Right,
draft recommendations that will go before planning as a part of the neighbourhood local plan. They have to have approval before it goes to implementation. And might integrate some of our recommendations, so yeah, probably the David.
Yeah, just point of clarity, we're just asking with us being on the town council plan, does that include us? Would we have to leave as well?
No.
Just
No, city council.
we could be rude to them. No, that's all right.
Well, the issue is that when the city council local plan gets its final ratification, it will be a report that's moved by the chair of planning. So it's probably best just to be safe, not to. It's probable that it's out there for public consultation right now, and the secretary says like final say. But just to make sure that nobody's in an awkward position, it's best to. And my colleague is now because she is the cabinet member for regeneration planning. Oops, you went that way, thank you. Okay, right, so would you like to introduce it and then we'll call on John to make any extra remarks?
Thank you, Chairman. The neighbourhood plan, the steering group's met 3 times now since Christmas, and he's doing quite well and making good strides. The purpose of this report was twofold. Number one, to keep the council fully informed of what the steering group's doing and the progress it's making, hence all the minutes of its meetings are attached. And the decision that we require from council tonight is who the named town council representatives should be on the steering group. So for members who aren't sure, if we want to proceed with the neighbourhood plan, the steering group has to have more community representatives than council members, otherwise you won't get it approved or even to a referendum status. So the terms of reference to the steering group are 8 community members, at least 8, and 5 councillors. The chairman is obviously councillor Bates. He's more than happy for more than 5 councillors to attend the meetings, but we need to nail down who our 5 people are in case there's ever a vote in the steering group on something, because only those 5 people will be able to vote. I think the steering group's got a heavy workload. It will be meeting once a month, probably till the end of next year as a minimum. So it's a big commitment to take on. And however, whilst everybody respects that, the council members need to be people who can attend sort of 90% of the time and can give the energy and the time to it. This is a very important thing to do. If we don't get the people attending, we don't get the continuity and progress. So it's up to the council to decide how we appoint those 5 members.
Thank you very much. Hand over to John.
Well, the party gives you a very good understanding of the matter of council appointees for the committee. One of the things I would want to add to that really is that I do believe that the council should represent a broad spectrum of political opinion, because I just don't think it will have the necessary credibility without that, and we currently do not have that. So I think that should form a part of your thinking in the way in which you decide how people are going to be represented at that committee meeting. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, more for information than anything else, David has referred to the fact that we're making tolerably fair progress. It's the timetable, I don't think it is it?
No.
No. The timetable which David prepared met the approval of the steering group and committed us to a substantial amount of work in very short order. The good thing is that we are on course with that, and in time for the next meeting we do hope to have what we would call a skeleton plan in place. That means that there will be a draft of policies, not to say they can't be more added, not to say they can't be changed. This is only in draft form, and there will be some supporting material behind the policies that we put there, and those are informed by the conversations that we have had in the steering group meetings. We are hoping to increase the number of lay members on the steering group. We have increased it since we started quite a bit. We now have 3 more members than we had before, and I rather hope that we were exploring other sources for people to come, young people especially. I'd rather hope that we might get some from that source. The other thing I want to say is this. If you've read through these various different minutes and you've looked at the things that people have spoken about on their wish lists and the ideas they want to see brought forward within the plan, you will, I'm sure, see that there are things there which would normally fall outside the remit of the neighbourhood plan. Things which would normally fall outside the remit of a parish council. At the last meeting I invited people to contribute virtually anything they wanted to contribute. I didn't want to be able to ever say to anybody at that stage, well, we can't do that, or that won't be possible, or anything of that sort. I wanted them to have a free rein for their thinking process. And it serves, not only does that serve the purpose of not discouraging them, it also serves the purpose of, even where there are things that we cannot specifically incorporate into a plan or consider as part of our policies, it still informs us, it still makes us think about what people are wishing for. And that in itself can help inform us when we form the policy and we formulate the policy. Well, I think it can anyway. In the end, if there's anything we can't do, or it contains, the draft contains things that are just ridiculous, the process is that this draft plan, when it's complete in a few months' time, we'll run it past. We continually run everything we do past our advisors in the planning aid, and they tell us if we're on the right track or not, and that's very helpful. And of course, any drafts will go before them as well. So long before it gets to the City Council, the County Council, or anybody else, we will have got good feedback on that and be able to make any adjustments that are necessary. So I'm reasonably confident that that progress can be made. I don't think of anything else that I want to add to this. I will obviously take any questions that anyone has.
Yeah, through you, Darren. Is the 5 council delegates yourself plus 4, or are you ex officio and we get 5?
I don't know. I'll take advice on any of these things. What do you think, David?
I think you should be good doing the 5.
I think I probably. But I do stress that I'm quite happy for almost anybody to come to the meetings that have something to say. I don't want to exclude anyone from this process, but we can't afford the community representatives to feel that they're outweighed, and that their considerations are outweighed by those of the council. I would hope as chairman I could prevent that from happening. As long as there are a clear set of people who have the power to vote. There's something else you might like to consider, I don't know whether it's within our power to do it, is whether or not substitutes would be allowed.
Right, okay.
I'm not sure if that would do more harm than good, because people think differently, you see.
Yeah, well, you were talking about the need to turn up to about 90% of the meeting,
Yes.
don't you? So, yeah,
I think that
I suspect not.
No,
in that
I think it's
case.
probably better if not really.
But you were talking about having a wide spectrum of views in the chamber. I presume that means a representative from your group, i.e. you, one from mine, one from Trish's group, Jim and Michelle. That would be 5 people, and they would represent each persuasion.
You also have to consider, Chairman, that they may not wish to do it. I can't speak for Jim, but Michelle might not.
Well, yeah, very possibly.
So you need a fallback position if they do.
Yes, on that
Any
point,
thoughts?
I think when we first started this off, we councils were all asked to, as I understand it, anyway, remember, to go to some training for
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, that's true.
So for a start off, that discounts those that haven't done the training.
Yeah.
I think to do it on PR in this case is not a political thing at all. Although I agree that broad spectrum is ideal. To put Michelle on, who hasn't, for whatever reason, not been attending the meetings, I think would just leave one place permanently vacant. So I really don't see it. I mean, I don't have a problem with asking her, but I think we've already seen that a lot of people aren't turning up to the meetings, and we need continuity right the way through, because otherwise, every time you come to the, it's all right missing an odd one, but come to the second or third meeting, you then have to start at the beginning and explain why you've done everything we've already done. That just would not work on the time scale we've got.
I'm personally, I've got no strong feelings one way or the other on it, and as far as I'm concerned, John and his team that have got us this far have done a sterling job. I'm very happy to be in the hands of those people who are willing to take it forward, because I know that it's a good piece of work already.
Can I just, because I know Janice was going to, I think ask your group who was interested in and willing to go on that. I mean, we've had 5 attending every time, so it would be a matter of us saying who couldn't do it. But I'm happy to go with whatever general feeling is.
Any thoughts? Linda was dedicated, and then I'll come to you, Rich.
Right. No, it's purely on a personal basis. I mean, I attend all the meetings, and at the moment I'm a church representative.
All right, so
As
you're
a
double hatted.
diocese involved,
Well,
not
that's-
anybody
I
else.
mean, as long as we accept that.
I'm not got a rep, yeah.
Yeah. It's always awkward if you're representing more than one.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure
As long as
how
you clear where your
that's
demarcation
because I
lines
am
are.
first
Yes.
and foremost, yeah.
I think as long as you're clear about where your demarcation lines are. And it's difficult sometimes. I've seen it in the last few months where people have been less clear, let's put it that way. Not on this council, I have to tell you. What's your take on it, Rosh?
So, Chair, the only point I was trying to make is the most important thing is because we've got a lot of people from outside sitting on the thing, one of the concerns we have is that if we appointed people that didn't turn up, particularly with the elected members, I mean, there's no reason why the members that are already turning up can't turn up, just not voting. That's not, if you like, that doesn't become a technical problem. But the only concern I would have is that those that are nominated as the attending members do have to attend, because if they don't, it's not anything, but it doesn't reflect well on the town council if those members don't turn up. That was the only thing of just saying, we need to be very clear that there's no reason why other councils can't turn up. They don't have the voting right. But we must be very clear that anybody who is put forward really has to sort of say, as Clark has said, try and get at least 90%. Thank you.
The key priority from what I understand is getting this thing done. I'm not that bothered about who turns up and who got right voting rights in fairness, as long as it gets done. I've got Janice and then David, we should come to a fairly snappy resolution to this.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's only to say that we have asked our members of our group, and there are 3 members that will be on that committee, and they will be turning up as often as they can, as is possible. One of them is in Australia at the moment, so he's not going to be turning up. But the other 2, Councillor Houghton does turn up on a regular basis. Councillor Whittaker does. And there's 5 votes, as I understand that. That's 3 in our thing, and 2 of yours, I presume. Or if 3 don't turn up, then you get all 5 votes. Doesn't really matter. The neighbourhood plan is something that you need to do and get through.
Just for clarity, that's probably worth at this stage. The planning committee and this steering group are 2 separate organisations.
It's not 2 different things.
However,
No, I know that, but people don't know that.
but we bottom line is we need 5 councillors who can put their hands up and say, I'll turn up to this. 9 times out of 10, I'll turn up. One of whom was you. Jim, are you up for this?
Sorry?
Are you up for this? Just as that, we're going to crowd in the house.
Yeah, 90% covered. Not great, but
Well, more often than not, let's call it that much, shall we?
I certainly manage one.
Excellent, there you go. More often than not, that works. David, I've got David and then I'll come back to you. Come to come to a conclusion.
Yeah, I think it is important that people do turn up, and I think it does help if it's clear that these meetings are on the first Thursday of the month.
Yeah.
I think common sense will prevail, and people who do put themselves forward will have to ensure that first Thursday is kept free from any other possible meetings. I mean, some of us are dual hatted, some of us are on the organisation. We're just meant to be mindful and make sure that we keep that date free. And you know, I attended the last meeting. It was a very interesting meeting. So anyone in my group who's thinking of going on, I do strongly recommend it. I think it is a good exchange of views, and it's it'll be an interesting experience, an interesting journey. Thank you.
Yeah, just like to clarify one thing. I don't think it's on P. If we're going to do it on PR, it's not going to be 3-2. It should be 2-2-1. And as it was mentioned before, but that is on voting. Anybody can turn up. That's on voting. Yeah, and I'm not quite sure about the voting. The voting could change, so keep the PR the same on the voting. So whoever was there at the time. Yeah.
I don't favour that at all, really. I think that's really confusing. But it's up to the council to decide. I just think that's potentially confusing.
The voting of the PR.
Yeah, no, I agree with you about that, actually, Trish. No, if, let us say for the sake of argument, two from each of the two major parties turn up, and it happens to be any two, they can both vote. I don't agree with that. It has to be, I think it has to be named people, I really do.
Oh yeah. No,
That's right to go in.
And with that calculation, presumably, we're counting John within the group for administrative purposes. 3, 2, 1.
Well, that's a difficult one. Because this will not affect you at all.
I don't know about you, I just want 5 people.
I'm
I'm not fussy really. Who's waving? Debbie?
Just to get clarity about the training, is that essential or not essential, and who has been trained, I guess, in our group then, that would make a difference, because I don't know. Is that essential that you have to be trained to go on this meeting?
Yeah.
Nobody from the Labour group attended when we did the training session, which was the first meeting in January.
Sorry, Chair, just to clarify that it was training specific, not on planning, but on doing a neighbourhood plan. And as I remember at the time, and maybe more training can be arranged, I don't know, but at the time, we did say that anybody wanting to progress with this neighbourhood plan had to have that training, because of getting things running smoothly, so they know what they're actually supposed to be doing. Just
Right. That is not beyond the wit of man to sort out. We can do that. That's not a problem. We still need 5 people.
What were the times again?
6:30 on the first Thursday of each month.
Fourth.
Thursday. First Thursday.
Is that here?
6:30, first Thursday of each month.
Nice here.
Yeah.
Can I suggest, Chair, that if we decide on the PR, as it were, then the groups can soon let you know tomorrow who their members are.
Yeah. As long as we get 5 names at the end of it, that go to the clerk. And if any of those need training that they didn't get in January, we'll sort it out. And then we'll get on with your group and get this thing through the game, because that's the important bit. Is
I was through your group. I quite like to be one of them, but
yeah, absolutely. Right, okay. Everyone happy with that then? I think we've got there. So, yeah. That's all done. Now then, we don't have to invite anyone back in the room, because the next item on the is planning to have an environment committee. which is item 5, and the chair of that committee, David, who's on the chat right now. The devil can move. Yeah, they can't come back in yet. Councillor Whittaker, you're next up. If you just give me 2 seconds to get the clerk back in, he's just telling people moving on to your writing, so we're not forgotten about him. We'll get back in. Thank you very much, John.
I wish you all the best. I'll take my journalism.
Okay, you get that. You get all in there. I'll hand over to you, David, and you can run us through your planning development environmental report and 6. And you can do that now if you want.
Right. Yes, going back to the 12th of February this is, and that was the meeting held way back then. We're quite an interesting meeting, and if you turn to page 36, we did look at 1 or 2 planning applications as we always do, and we discussed particularly one of them in great detail, and that's an ongoing problem that keeps coming before our committees at the moment. People who want to build houses or extensions, and it's a bit ambiguous what we're putting forward. So again, we reiterated our views and sent them on to the City Council. Agenda, the next item, bullet point 2, is something that is probably hopefully going to be positive. It's to do with the Hitchens building, and we can't wait to get to see something happen there, because it's been lying in the same state for a long time. So we welcome that, and there were no other comments on the other planning applications. Going on to page 37, this is pertaining to Morecambe in Bloom, and we're looking at ways at which, and we're going to discuss these issues later on in the agenda, but it's still looking at the flower beds and to have a theme to do with the World War I, the red theme, so it should be very nice that. And also our dialogue with the City Council, looking at we're having a bit more dialogue, and we're asking them to do, use plants that should survive the season, and we need to be, trying to get more dialogue there, and hope that will work out. And and also we're looking at how we can solve with the Town Council for future planting schemes in Morecambe, and hopefully we will get more dialogue then in time for this the season, and we're working towards getting another gold in Morecambe in Bloom. Bottom of page 37, we're also looking at this donation by Polton Residents Association. The remaining funds of £171.97 be offered to the Morecambe Bloomers to enhance the work that they're doing there, and they're doing some fantastic work between them, and should deserve a pat in the back for what they're doing there in the community. So I hope that's fine. I'll just move forward again to the 6th of March. We were duly consulted by the City Council. We're looking at the local plan, and we looked at this in quite detail, and we made 1 or 2 comments that we wanted to highlight, mainly in relation to the wording of these documents, and they're not always user-reader friendly, particularly to people who are laymen or to the public. And one of our diligent members spotted 1 or 2 grammatical errors that, we just pulled them up on that, as you can see on the bullet point 1, 2 and 3. Page 41, again, a lot of the statements were a bit ambiguous, but we did make some suggestions that we forward to the City Council, and hopefully they will listen to us. And going to the bottom, 68, Morecambe in Bloom, this is a positive one. We know the progress of Morecambe in Bloom and what we're aiming to do this year, and I think we should thank David for the work they've done in producing our application form. So let's get this out into the public domain, try and get more entrants in, and let's try and get more schools entering this year as well. Let's get more entrants from schools and younger people. let's have a good competition this year. Thank you, and thanks for our clerk and Abigail for getting this produced. Thank you. So I just hope you accept the recommendations in the two committees that were before us tonight. Thank you.
Second those recommendations.
Thank you. Seconded. Thank you very much, Tricia. Are there any questions or points or even amendments if indeed people are keen to do that, or are we accepting the recommendation to give them? We are. In which case we will show that's clearly carried. Thank you very much. Okay, and we'll let our colleagues back in now.
It's cold, isn't it? I'm freezing.
It's a deliberate ploy to hurry you up. We'll have a Labour group out the other way.
Chair, can I ask a question?
Can I ask a question? Yeah. Hey, we're not that strict around here. Yeah, what's up?
I want to ask the Chair a question. Right. So we're paying, local town council are paying for this room tonight. So I just wondered, if we're paying for this room, why isn't there any heating on?
We will forward those concerns to the people who bill us for this.
We're not entitled to hot drinks.
Oh, fresh green cakes in.
But if we change for a meeting,
Change.
if you want to put a recommendation to finance and management, so we still put for coffee on a council night as well, then you're more than welcome to.
No.
However, it might just incentivise people to stay around even longer. That's what happens at our meetings anyway. Right, okay, so item 6 on the agenda is your Community Safety Committee agenda, which is on pages 43 to 46 of your supporting packs. Now, the chair, Councillor John Hanson, is presently en route to Australia. I've got to throw that in just to make him sound cosmopolitan. He is in fact in Yorkshire on his way to Australia.
Is that the long one?
So he's telling you dig from robbery or something. No, he's in Keighley, one of them tea mines, that's what it is.
Oh, I thought he was digging down.
He's digging down. So instead of our lovely friend Max, who's the vice chair, will speak to the report on our behalf. Max, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Right, we're going back to 22nd of February this year. So it was a really interesting meeting. We had a few officers there, and it was a good mixture between dealing with the youth, abuse, mental health, getting the web page together, making use of the old bus station, and then one good thing they talked about is when you're getting the youths sort of, instead of hanging around certain areas, put them where they're going to put Wi-Fi in certain parks, so the youth will go towards the Wi-Fi and then they'll turn it off at a certain time, and then hopefully the young ones will go home. And I think that's a really good idea, because especially in the summer nights, you don't want them hanging around houses and things like that. So that's that, and then obviously the councillors were able to send reports in, but I've had quite a few complaints about dog waste on the beach, in the water, and then so that's going to go to Cabinet about the bus station. Speeding, motorbikes, if you read the report, parking, physical abuse. So if you've got any questions or any points, if you want to answer.
Wonderful. Right, I'll take questions.
Yeah.
As you can see from the report itself, all of the contents are for noting as opposed to voting on. Roger.
Thank you, Chair. Just one slight technical problem. We perhaps need to remind the City Council that they've already agreed a demolition order for that premises.
Well, it's coming to Cabinet.
No, but I think
yes.
we probably have to remind them that there is. They'll probably have to
The demolition order was already being delayed because it was being looked at for other purposes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but it has been passed, so they'll have to knock it off the list. That was all. Is that we might sort of say, wonderful, we agreed to it, just as they knock it down. That was the only problem I had.
It has been duly amended because Jeff Tagg came to a briefing this week.
Okay.
specifically about this, amongst many other things.
There's no glass in it anymore, that's one good thing.
No, well, yeah. Ian, you had a question or point to
Well,
make?
parking on Glenforth Road on Westgate.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
The police said it's not causing any problems, but they are parking on the corners of the
Yeah.
roads. It's making it difficult
I know.
for residents to see. I wonder what they say about that, like.
Yeah. Well, they did explain about that, but obviously it's like on White Lawn, you know, around that area. It's the staff that's parking on there, isn't it? Staff of the
Yes.
White Lawn.
Well, some of the staff,
Yeah.
some other
Some
people
of the
as
staff.
well. Like, I mean,
So, but we're just hoping if the Heysham Gateway goes through, that all them businesses that are on White Lawn will move up to Heysham. But we'll have to wait and see. But they're monitoring it, but they can't really monitor it because if it's not double yellow lines,
no. But I just have to say that unless it's causing an obstruction,
yeah.
you can't do anything about it.
No.
But it is causing an obstruction.
Oh,
on
yeah,
the corners.
Yeah, especially a corner.
For buses and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An emergency vehicle.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't want to be a bus driver on Westgate. Certainly. Roger, yeah, go on.
It was just an adjunct to that to say those that in the county council, perhaps if they monitor where they think the problems are, if they raise it to the county are the ones that can put double yellow lines on the corner.
No,
And
they won't do.
Well, if they won't, then we're stuffed. But all I'm saying is that's the other alternative.
Can I just explain about a couple of years ago, we took, before I was on county council, on White Lawn, they did a couple of week enforcement, and obviously them businesses about growing their business because they used to sell 2 or 3 cars a week, but now they're selling like 60 maybe a day. So we went down and the cabinet member for highways came, and the PCSO has just worked on it for years, and it's just, but they're not bothered about getting a parking fine, the people that are selling the cars, because if it's a £30 parking fine, they're selling a car for a few thousand, they're not bothered. So it'll go clear for a week and then it'll start up again. So, like I say, it's just hopefully that they move down.
If they do them with the side hatches, they can tow them away.
Oh, they've tried everything.
Okay.
It is a perennial
Yeah.
problem. Having been the county councillor for that area for 4 years, I can tell you that getting a response is not the easiest thing in the world. And I'm sure it's a similar story in other colleagues' areas, especially for domestic parking.
Yeah.
We're just keeping a watching brief from a committee point of view, so thank you very much for that, Max. Right, next is item 7, which is the minutes of the Finance and Management Committee from the 7th of February and the 5th of March 2018. Again, the Chair of Finance and Management, Brendan, is otherwise engaged this evening, so Janice, the Vice Chair, will introduce the report.
Right, thank you, Chair. You see on page 47 is the first item, which is the clarification of the use of the £9,000 for the deprivation project, and that's what we agreed on that one. Next item is page 50, where we agreed on the council be recommended to note the position regarding the budget at 28th of February set out in Appendix B, authorise that the overspend in respect of the election budget be funded from the school parking budget, unless proposals to assist with school parking were submitted to the council and agreed prior to 31st. So that's how we managed to pay for the election budget, which was slightly overspent by £1,171.33. The next couple of items are on toilet cleaning and sanitary waste collection quotations. And as you can see on page 51, we agreed to go with the lowest tender on both of those. I don't think you'd appreciate us going with a higher tender for that. No, it didn't seem the right thing to do at the time. Item 46, which is the meeting timetable, on page 52, I'm minded not to... Oh, sorry, Roger. I want to propose that we don't approve this timetable at the meeting tonight because on speaking with a few of my colleagues, they think So that's what the proposal is on that one. Otherwise the other ones can go through. Thank you.
Just before I call on Tricia, in the event that you've identified a number of clashes, whether they be community meetings that we are sent to as councillors or we are involved in or whatever they are, would you be kind enough to forward them to the clerk in time for the next finance and management meeting so that those clashes can be identified prior to the meeting so that we can come up with an alternative solution?
Yes, I think we might identify about 9.
Thank you very much. About 9?
About 9 clashes.
Okay, thank you very much. Trish's
Yeah, I was
signal.
going to second them all except the last one.
Right. Which bit? That bit? Right, well, in which case I'll take that as a second all the way up to and including D.
Yeah, it's just the meetings one, that's it, yeah.
Right, good at that bit of 6 point, and I'm going to hand over to the clerk who's going to talk to me about meetings right now.
Obviously, it's up to the council what to do with Council Anti's proposal on the timetable. It concerns me if that isn't approved, because by the time we meet again, we're in the next municipal year in May. So that's my concern. However, if you don't think you can agree with committees, I think it'd be really good if you can agree the council meetings and the annual town meeting that's on there. And I don't think there will be any argument about those, because we've always met on the third Thursday of every other month when we need to be put notice. But I am concerned if we can't reach agreement tonight.
It may be helpful, therefore. It may be therefore helpful if, to clarify, I understand from colleagues that it's specifically clashes for community meetings on Mondays that are the issue. So it would only be committees that are scheduled for Mondays within this calendar that would be an issue. Therefore, what you've just asked for, insofar as annual town meetings and council meetings and other committees, would be more than acceptable to pass through right now. That's my understanding. Is that right?
That's right.
Is that right? Yeah. And thanks to those colleagues who actually read this and then identified what the snagging points were for them, because that's much appreciated. So maybe it's not that you don't move recommendation E, but you don't move it in its entirety. I think that's possibly how we solve that issue.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Would that be at least you'd be able to plan around a number of committees and the full council then?
If that's what you want.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm prepared to
Sure reports.
put that in, yes, but you need to, the council meetings and the town meetings will be fine. It's just this Monday, the sticking point, because as we've said, we've identified 9 possible clashes and we need to get it sorted.
Right. Yeah, Tricia. Yeah.
Question, could we ask what it actually clashes with? Because it would be very difficult to move all those Monday night meetings to somewhere else, because it's then going to clash with other things.
I understand it's not just one set, it's one thing, it's a number of different meetings.
Specifically Monday.
It's just the Mondays, I understand. I think
community collective thing is on a Monday.
there's a number of
always
community
meets on
meetings that
Monday.
councillors are regularly invited to, and it just seems, especially from a town council point of view, that we're missing out on an opportunity to engage with residents if we don't turn up to those types of things. You may be mildly aware of, and of course, there's also responsibility on some community meetings to spot what calendars for councils are, to try and at least marry some of it together.
Sorry, Chair, are they political or are they?
No, these are community organisations that invite councillors in their wards to come and listen to what their issues are.
Are these meetings are recent?
This has changed from previous years.
It's the timetable to change.
Finances are
Finance is fine, but the other one is a lot of them because they're every month now.
I think what the problem has been is all these committees that over the times we've been councilled, we've actually got the committees to arrange the committees around what we're doing here. So if we turn around and go, well actually they've changed it all again, would you mind changing it again for us? So it's what we've been involved in over a number of years that's actually decided that we've got them to be on a Monday, so we can go to them, then all of a sudden we can't go to them.
So can I just make sure that we're because we don't want to throw a baby out with the bathwater right now, do we? That's not what we want to do. So, council meetings are absolutely fine according to the mover of the chair.
They're still on Thursday,
Yeah,
yes.
council meetings are always, and the annual meeting still fine.
Yes.
The other committee meetings are still fine.
Yeah.
And-
Just the Monday ones.
And is it all of the Monday ones, or is it just some of the Monday ones that we're discussing?
I'm sorry, Chair, this is a nonsense to try and work around.
Well-
Those planning development ones on a Monday there, surely is this back to this neighbourhood plan one, isn't it? Most monthly ones, no? You've got planning, you've got planning on the top.
It's not the plan. It's not the local
Yeah,
plan.
the clerk will hopefully point us in the right direction. So. But you're expecting members to vote on something that you can't agree to if it excludes them. So. You're on.
Thank you, Chairman. Finance and Management Committee is always met on the Monday.
Yeah.
It's always met on the Monday of the week preceding the council meeting, so I've not changed anything there.
No, absolutely.
Planning Committee is different to the neighbourhood plan
Yes,
steering
realise
group.
that, sorry, my fault.
That does meet every month. And I'm programming all on those dates because it just looks suitable in the timetable to do that. I wasn't aware that clashed. I looked at the City Council website.
They could easily be moved to a Wednesday though, then, couldn't they? Because there's gaps on a Wednesday, just move them all down and move them.
Not all
But
Wednesday.
it's not finance then that's going to be changed.
No.
No, that's what I'm going to say,
No,
because
finance-
we've set that up purely to be...
As far as I'm aware, finance is doing exactly what it's always done.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no issue with finance.
Yeah, it's council on Wednesdays. Some Wednesdays, isn't it?
Yes, on Wednesdays.
Once every 6
Well,
months.
we're
Yeah, because we
Every
must
6
sit
weeks,
round that.
Working around the City Council on Wednesday.
One clash, yeah.
I'm sorry, Chair, to come back to this again, but surely if people want to go to another meeting and that, they just don't take planning and development.
Well, there's the opportunity for substitutes, but if members have an issue with the schedule of specific meetings, they are entitled to amendments to those schedules.
We're entitled to ask for a change.
And this is that's the specific one, I understand. So either we need to do one of two things. We accept it, well, three things actually. Accept it as it is, minus those Monday planning meetings, and have and get an alternative decided by the committee, or go with what Debbie just suggested, which is move it to the same week but on a Wednesday. I'm not on that committee meeting, so it's nothing to do with me. It's up to you guys. I am not affected by this decision, so I wouldn't presume
If we perhaps...
to have a strong opinion.
Chair, might it be that we remove the three, the ones that are contentious, and perhaps suggest that the groups meet to try and get something acceptable, that everything else can go forward?
Right. Can you? Is that?
Because I think actually people need to work out what the reason is for that. There has been some confusion.
Just the planning board that we get our heads together. We get our heads
Debbie's got the dates here. Can you just...
So you can quite easily move the Mondays to another date in the month, just not the dates they're currently on.
I think that everybody will, when you move schedules, other people could be equally adversely. So I think if we take it out and make that non-contentious until we've resolved it amongst ourselves, the other ones can all go through, not causing further confusion. But I think we do need to make sure that rather than just suddenly shifting it and then everybody coming back and saying, hang on, that's what we have.
Right. So for that specific committee, we'll feed back to the clerk with suggestions on alternatives to see whether that fits with what other group commitments are, because of course other people have got things that they do too.
And if you move it to a Wednesday,
this is frankly a bit.
you move it to Wednesday, it's full council, so how
It depends which Wednesday.
That's only once every 6 weeks.
Depends which
This
Wednesday.
is every single month. Every single Monday. Every single month. Or full. You're planning it full meetings every Monday. Which people can't do.
However, I think we've at least got to some solution there by saying all of it, bar that meeting, is approvable right now. We'll feed back to the clerk with alternative suggestions that then can be agreed by the
The group leaders agree.
Terry?
These
Wednesday meetings. If it clashes with full council, just move it to the following Wednesday. So you've got a 5 week and a 3 week. Simple.
do them before.
It's got to be before full council because you've got to ratify it at full council, and that's where
It causes other problems, that's why we've got to work it out.
I think that's why just moving it simply by 1 day or 2 days doesn't exactly work all of the time because of an irregular schedule. If the city council was of the same day every month or every other month rather than every 6 weeks, that'd probably be doable, but it clearly isn't. And some colleagues in this room were on the city council many years before I ever got there. Well, you know what? If the three tiers of government in this district actually spoke to each other about their separate commitments, I would sue them, frankly. Presently, 3 tiers of government. Let's say that for now, shall we? Right. So, are you happy to accept that as your recommendation, and we'll feedback on that one committee? Yeah.
Well, everybody's happy.
If everyone's happy with that. Yeah. I'm getting lots of nods in the room, so I'm excited to hear it. Yeah. Thank you very much. Marvellous. So you've done them all as one go. Right. We've got one update on one specific item from David, though, which is.
In the finance minutes, the minute about audit matters and getting a debit card, it looks as though we would be able to get a debit card for our bank account, current account, which will be free of charge, but it would cost 25 pence per transaction. Balance that against it costs 68 pence in our account for every cheque. So that would replace the need to write a cheque, so actually we'll work out a bit cheaper.
Student check. Very much. Fantastic, thank you for that. Really interesting. In the 21st century, we have. Right, lovely, thank you. Right, next up is item 8, which is the Lancashire County Council consultation with the proposed 20 miles an hour speed limit order, Globe Drive, Morecambe, and thereafter a response from us as one of their consultees, and I hand over to David for this one too.
Thank you, Chairman. This is part of the huge traffic order they're trying to bring in 40 miles per hour all over the county. But the only street that affected us was this one.
That's it. And everybody knows where it is, don't they? It's the new one next door to the Globe Arena, near
Is it that? Because they were saying it's on the Globe Arena site.
No,
the one on the Globe Arena site is Christie Drive.
No, Christie Way it's called. Christie Way is the road into the Globe Arena. Globe Drive is the road that goes into
it is the ordinary highway road, not the access road to there. So that was where we got the...
It's the road, as you come off Westgate, it's the road
where the new development
go into the new development.
Fair enough.
Yes.
I propose we accept this on the grounds of safety. I think it's a very reasonable idea that we should uptake. I think we should recommend that to the review.
I second that.
Are there any other further comments that people would like to make as we respond to the consultation? It's a fairly simple matter, really.
You're not enforced from the moment.
Well, yeah.
No,
General comment about enforcement.
We can talk about enforcement all night. It'd be an extra meeting talking about enforcement. We've all been there before, haven't we?
All this does is bring you Westgate in line with the 24-hour zone, which it mainly is.
And we know there are other issues. Right, lovely, thank you very much. That's that. We've done 9. Right, the next one is the report from the clerk on the Remembrance Day commemorations, celebrations when it comes to battles over commemorative events on the 11th of November this year. 77 to 78, the last 2 pages of your packs. I'll hand over to the clerk and then I'll pile in because I've got some updates for you on that one.
Thank you, Chairman. As we all know, this Remembrance Day will mark 100 years since the end of World War I. As my report says, there's a nationwide tribute to that commemoration that's been coordinated and organised across the country. The City Council have advised myself that in Lancaster there will be a beacon at the castle and at the Priory Church. But as far as the Ashton Memorial, but as far as they were concerned, nothing was happening in Morecambe, and did we want to organise something or try to make something happen. So this, as you all know probably, that Remembrance Day this year is on the it's obviously on a Sunday, but that's also the 11th of November, so it is in that day, it's on Remembrance Sunday, which is quite good. So the back of our coordinated event, as it says in the report, it simply falls into 4 stages that they're trying to get to happen all over the country at exactly the same time. So the first part will be at 6 a.m. in the morning, which would be a piper playing a piece of music hung by your war memorial. The second part of the event would be just over 12 hours later, which will be the last post play, probably the war memorial again. Followed 5 minutes later by the beacons being lit, the Choice Tower beacon, and then just after that, church bells and the now all over the town and around the country. So those are the 4 stages. If we try to make something like that happen in Morecambe, which we need to try and make happen. In the report, whether I should have wrote this, I don't know, but because it all falls on Remembrance Sunday as well, so you would have the piper in the morning, then you'd have your normal remembrance parade at 11 o'clock, and then come back again in the evening. I was just thinking to put it to the members, if you want to pursue something where we try to organise some kind of event in the afternoon, or it could be some kind of commemorative concert, or talk, or film, or something like that, probably try and work with the City Council and do it in the platform. I've not discussed that with the City Council or anybody. Just in my lifetime, we're all about this is being a once in a lifetime occurrence, obviously. If we did want to do that, it's still 8 months away, but there would be time to do it. Obviously, we need to. I think if you wanted to do any of this, but particularly the last bit, you need to give us that steer, and then I need to go away and try and work out how much it will cost and come back to the next meeting in May with that and see if that's feasible.
The minor update I can give you is that other than the beacons that are happening in Lancaster, obviously, and our ecumenical friends who are going to be doing peeling across the district, hopefully including this wonderful town, and right through the district as well, there will be a beacon on Warden Crag, which will be lit just after 7 as well, to signal armistice at the top of the district. I'm meeting with Richard Hammond on Monday morning specifically about this and the potential for organising jointly between us, the City Council and Morecambe Bid and the business community in general, events, plural, and event in particular for the afternoon, which falls into this national commemoration thing with your Rivali with Piper. Obviously the normal commemoration that we have at 11 o'clock, as we always do each year. I'm meeting with the Royal British Legion about that in a couple of weeks' time. They've got a few logistic issues that they need to solve with our help. And then the last post, the beacon, and then the church bells part. So I'm meeting on Monday about that, in the hope that we can pool some resources and have something that's going to be extremely good, and also, we call it a commemoration on the 11th as former soldiers and members of our community. It's the one time you get to actually celebrate peace on this day. So we can do something quite spectacular if we put our minds to it. So what I'd like really, before I sit down with Richard on Monday and try and shoehorn some money out of him, frankly, not to put too fine a point on it, is what you'd like to see, in an ideal world, what you'd like to see for that weekend, but most especially for the Sunday afternoon into the evening, because that's the key part that will be the national moment of commemoration. Any ideas from colleagues?
The only point I would just make is the ones that is coordinated are the ones that we should definitely, the other ones are excellent to do if we can, but the principle really is if around the country all of the towns and cities are doing one or two or more of the the lighting of the beacons,
Yeah.
then
Lots of those.
the principle of those is that's a nationally coordinated thing. So we actually do need, if we can, I don't know what we need to be involved in that little bit. I think that's
the priority.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is those are the priorities. The other ones are. It would be very nice if we could. But those are the ones we've really got to concentrate on. Because if we're not, if Lancaster's got their beacons and a lot of the other parishes probably will have beacons, because there are some beacons left. There were some still floating around from the last lighting. From I think it was the
one of the Jubilees, wasn't it?
Jubilee and the Drake. The Armada.
Oh, the Armada.
It was the Armada. So there is stuff that's available. The only problem that we get is where you put it, because if you're going to get a beacon, you don't want to put it where there's nice new tarmac. That was the only point I was making, because we've got the memorial site. There's not a lot there.
I think, given the safety issues involved in lighting a large fire, we'll obviously have to take a steer off the ESAG and the rest of the gang.
Yes.
And there's one obvious spot, isn't there? There's one really, really obvious spot to bang it up, which is right at the bottom of the stone jetty and keep it well away from people. Tricia,
I'd like to move
give us a steer.
Yeah, I'd like to move that we do, or it says we go along with the national thing.
Yes.
And we approve that now.
Yeah.
But perhaps members from this committee, from here, could join with the committee that's already doing the bloom, smoking bloom, and already organised quite a few things for the year. It would be good to work with them and come forward with the ideas. Perhaps yourself, Darren, or somebody could liaise with them. One of the things with the bid, because the bid are also on that committee already, and the bid just approved this week to buy 1,000 what are called lamppost poppies, to go out throughout the town on all the buildings. But that's not just for this is for the whole year. They'll be going up beginning of April. So there's a lot already going on, and I think rather than have two diverse things going, it would be better to meet up and work out a plan together.
Right, well, but all I really need for Monday is give us a steer on what you'd like to see. That's clearly falling with the national priorities. Anything on top of that is a Brucey bonus. We may be able to deliver something really good at the platform, because it is the focal point on Remember to Stay anyway. And we've got a really good relationship with next door now. By the way, as in the station, since it was taken over by new people. Claire.
I think we should obviously do all the statutory things, but I think it would be really nice to do some sort of entertainment thing in the afternoon, not just for the veterans who are there, but also the people of Malcolm. And also I think there's a danger that people will come for the ceremony in the morning otherwise, and there will be nobody there part of the evening, because everybody will drift off home if we have something to do. But maybe we could talk to, we have a lot of good festival organisers who obviously know the kind of people who do, vintage World War I tunes or musical or whatever, if we're going to go along with World War B. And that would be really nice to keep people in town, but it would also be a part of living history for children to be able to see what it was like. What was a World War I victory party like? Most children now, my grandfather was in the First World War, but most children now might not even have a great-great-grandparent in the First World War. So I think it would be a really interesting historical experience for them. And I don't think it has to cost a lot of money either, but I would like Darren to be able to talk to people about it.
Right, I certainly understand the filling that gap in the middle between what is effectively lunchtime after we finish the parade and 7:05. There is a danger that people will sort of drift off if there's something happening, especially if it's freezing. Terry and June, did you indicate?
Yeah, I was just going to say it would be nice to do something in the afternoon, like at the platform, just like the silver band, Morecambe Silver Band.
Yeah, it's got to be appropriate, hasn't it?
And play kind of tunes from the war that got us through the war, and I think a lot of people not just the armed services and people like us, but I think a lot of the public would like to come and see that as well.
Yeah.
So something just like that.
Yeah.
Keep it kind of, not too, involved with everything, but just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because
simple.
Well, and by the way, I'm going to just chuck it out there. This is my bugbear, by the way. It has to be in keeping. Definitely. The end of the Second World War, there were literally people dancing in fountains. The end of the First World War was a little more sombre than it has from the history I learned. But just as importantly, when it comes to that, there is a certain sort of there is the thing that always niggles away at me. Armistice Day happened on the 11th of November. The First World War did not finish. People were still being shot. People were still dying right up to the signing of the Treaty of Versailles the following summer. So, sorry to nick the line again. We've got to be mindful that it was a pause that we hoped would stick at that point in history. And it did, and we were thankful very much that it was. But it wasn't a moment of celebration for the general population at that time, for two reasons. They were tired by that point, and they had nothing. They had nothing. We'd just experienced, not a long time prior to it, we'd just experienced a munitions factory blowing up, don't forget, in this town, that cost people lives. So it was one of those moments where it was very much a moment of relief more than joy. And my mum tells me about the Second World War, or she used to. That was a different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
That was very much triumph and the end of stuff.
Unconditional.
I've got Jim and Terry, and then I'll try and wrap it up. But I'm getting a good steer about what kind of what level people are after, and that's great. Thank you. Jim.
Thank you. In the spirit of I think what the nation is going to be doing on the 11th, I hear what you're saying, and I totally agree that it was a pretty sombre, but I think it's going to be a celebration.
Yes.
Nationally. I might be wrong, it might pitch like you suggested, but I don't think they will be doing, so I think we ought to enter into that spirit as well, otherwise we're going to be more miserable. So,
we got that level. We got that accusation level down to be close.
But just wonder if there's any archive footage of people what happened after Armistice Day celebrated that could go into this music festival, music of the time. For that kind of day.
The local district heritage society, who are keyed in heavily with my portfolio, with my hat on, and a lot of historical groups who do some fantastic work in the town specifically. I've got lots and lots of pictures, lots of stuff from that era. So there is. And there's certainly sheet music from that period. We know what we're playing, and we know what records were back in those days. So there's a bunch of stuff that we can keep into.
So this Manchester Central Library is brilliant.
And the other thing, I'm going to recommend something. This is almost like an advert, and I apologise if this is beyond the pale for some people. But go on to a thing called LoonTube. There's a website called LoonTube that does literally 1 minute and 15-second historical videos about things. And they're doing it now. They're filming it now, and they talk about the history of the district. And they've done some brilliant ones about Morecambe. And it's a really brilliant way, LoonTube it's called. Absolutely top draw. They've done some brilliant ones about the Winter Gardens, they've done some fantastic ones about the bombing down at the golf club in Heysham. There's a bunch of stuff, so I recommend it extremely highly, it's well worth a go.
I'm going to just finish off.
I'll come back to you, Terry, and I'll come back to you.
6 days previous, it's bonfire night. I just wondered if we could send to run the bonfire and the firework display, we could delay something like that, so that people could turn up for the bacon and then not just drift away, like you say, you did a firework display as well. Just to prolong it,
I can see if the people who organise it's called is it Bonfire Extravaganza or something it's called. those are mostly local people that do that. It may be that they'll be available to do something and help us with the safety side of things with the beacon for sure. But again, I can only ask and then feedback to members. This is not a decision-making thing. I'm going to come back to you.
And there might be a bigger audience as well. Yeah, point of view.
Yeah.
Unless they've already pre-planned it already.
I can at least check. I've got Terry and then Tricia, you're going to have the last word. And then we'll do Terry.
Right, beacon definitely, it should be on Stone Jetty.
Stone Jetty, yeah, okay.
Where it can be seen from all points of town, unless you could get it at the power station and everybody could see it. After the meeting, we actually know people, we know two gentlemen that are organising these sort of things for the town already. So if you come to us, we'll tell you who they are.
Right, good. Thank you very much for that. Tricia, you are not just getting the last word from the members tonight, you're getting the last word in the meeting before I do the day of the next meeting. You're right.
I just wanted to formalise the fact that I've proposed something that we can get down on paper.
Yeah.
That we do the four national things.
That's our priority.
And that we're looking to doing something else.
Yeah, that's the priority. We must do the national things.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the priority. If we do anything on top of that,
I think
fantastic.
we need to pass it formally that it's minuted.
That'll be what we concentrate on.
Second.
And our feedback. Yes, you have seconded. Thank you very much. Right, fantastic. Bottom line is we'll do our bit and our people can be proud. And we will remember the 223 names that are on our cenotaph.
I've got a suggestion there that you go to that meeting.
Yes, he seems to know what he's talking about, doesn't he?
No, it's almost like I'm for some cultural leisure and tourism. Right, the date of the next meeting, ladies and gentlemen, is Thursday the 17th of May 2018.